Welcome to chapter 28 of the book of Job. I think this chapter is an amazing chapter as I've been studying. It's one of the most, I don't want to call it beautiful, but the understanding that Job had about God is just amazing at such an early time. And it begins, it says, Job examines wisdom and knowledge. And I'll read it a little in the Greek. And it begins, Estigar argyrio topos othen genete, topos de crisio othen the thete, sideros mangar agis genete, halkos de isa litho lato mite. For there is a place for silver from where it exists. Now, the first 12 verses of this chapter, I believe, is Job's acknowledging the material things that are created by God in a way that he forms the explanations here. There's a place where silver exists and a place for gold from where it is refined. So basically, there's silver and gold. For iron comes from out of the earth, and brass equally is quarried like stone. And so Halkos, we have the Chalcolithic era, the Brass Age, and all these derivatives. Then it's showing here that, again, brass, iron, stone, everything is created by God, the material things. And he established an order for darkness, and every limit he determines exactly. Well, now, darkness is not really a material thing, but it's something that's more, it's not a spiritual thing. I suppose I should have said that, the physical in different various forms. And every limit he determines exactly. So there, to me, is the key that he's showing, is that God has established everything. He has set a limit, determines it exactly. He's set our limit. He's created us. We are created in God's image, and he determines exactly our limits, how long we're going to live, and so forth. In darkness and the shadow of death is as a stone. So he's relating it sort of to the material world, even the existence and old age and whatever, when you're in the shadow of death. There is a breach of the rushing stream from powder, and the ones forgetting the just way are weakened. A breach of the rushing stream, probably from a dirt embankment or something that was washed away, and the rushing stream goes through there, and the ones forgetting the just way are weakened. And so even he's relating this sort of to our walk in life, and that we are not walking the correct way. As a rushing stream can get diverted, so can we. And from out of mortals they are shaken. As for the earth, from out of her, I changed it to her rather than it is because it's a feminine ge. As for the earth, for from out of her shall come forth bread. Well, that doesn't come from the earth, but it comes from the people that farm the ground, earth. And underneath her, it was turned as fire. Now, what does he see here? The underneath the earth could be volcanoes that he saw, something that fire came out of the earth. Her stones are the place of the sapphire, and her gold is an embankment. So these are, again, the material things that God has placed into existence. There is a road, and the bird knows it not, and the eye of the vulture look not over it. Now, they fly where they want to go, and they have instincts. They can fly thousands of miles, cross oceans, and so forth. And these things the bird has in its instinct. And the sons of ostentatious ones trod it not. Uh, People that are ostentatious, he's kind of using this as sort of a figure of speech in that they're walking on the earth, but it's an incorrect way, trotting it not. A lion went not upon it. And the way uh, of life, maybe he's talking about that. We're trotting on it if you're ostentatious, or for a lion, it's part of the instinct of to go wherever the lion uh, wants to go or feels like he needs to go hunting. And he stretched forth his hand in a chiseled place. And the only thing I can relate that to would be something that man has made, that God has allowed to happen, like the ancient pyramids. And he overturned uh, mountains from the roots. God controls the mountains and the hills of rivers, and that would be, I think, the embankment of rivers. He tore up. They go over the embankments, and my eye beheld every valuable thing. And Job has seen all these things, and he says, and the depths of the rivers he uncovered, and he shows his power in light. So all these things Job is showing, he's setting us up for verse 12 and on to the end of the chapter, on how God has made the material world, all these things, the animals, the ways they go, nature, the skies, darkness, and all of this. But it says, from what place is wisdom found? And wisdom is not a created thing as such. I don't think you would call it that or classify it as such. Wisdom is something that comes to people. We have wisdom of people that know how to build rocketry, go to the moon, build bridges, skyscrapers. But then there's the wisdom of God that will tell a person what is good for him and not good for him, and lead him in the correct path with the correct people and all sorts of things. So wisdom is in the feminine, and of what place is higher knowledge? So now he's questioning, now where is wisdom found and higher knowledge? What's it from? And he says, a mortal knows not her way, that her way would be the way of wisdom. In no way is she, wisdom, found among men. It's not something that you run across. The abyss said, that would be the deep, she is not in me. And the sea said, she's not with me. Wisdom is not found in climbing up Mount Everest, or going down into a cave, or going across seas. That's not how you acquire the wisdom. One shall not give an investment for her wisdom. You can't buy wisdom, and shall not set silver as a bargain for her. And she, wisdom, shall not be compared with the gold of Ophir. It's way more valuable, and Solomon brings that out in the Proverbs. And with valuable onyx and sapphire, she can't be compared. Here is these green words you can add to your English derivatives book. The transliteration, onyx, a black stone, and gold and glass, or crystal, shall not be equal to her, nor items of gold as barter for her. Again, you can't trade anything for wisdom. Now, you can, all these things that God made in some way or another, you can mine and the minerals and collect the stones and so forth, but not wisdom. Meteora is another one. We have meteorites, and we can see the meteor derivative, and agavis, crystal, shall not be mentioned. Neither with those can you acquire wisdom. But draw on wisdom above the innermost things. And this is what Job is saying, is that we need to have wisdom. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not be equal to her. She shall not be compared to pure gold. But concerning wisdom, now remember, this is before the Jews became a nation, Israel became a nation, Solomon. This was written before time of the patriarchs, probably. But concerning wisdom, from what place shall she be found? And of what kind of place is understanding? Again, the question. She has escaped notice of every man, and from the birds of the heaven she was hid. Now, if they don't have the wisdom, it doesn't come through nature. Destruction and death said, well, we've heard of her fame. It's sort of a figure there of even the bad things have heard of wisdom, and is using that, not personifying, but I can't think of what the word, putting allowing an inanimate object to be speaking, destruction and death, speaking. It's a figure of speech, and I don't know the name of the figure, but it's what it is, a figure of speech. And God commended her, wisdom's way, well, and he knows her place. For God, inspects all things under heaven, knowing the things in the earth. So God inspects, and he's inspecting us, watches what we're doing, every single thing we do, every single thought. God knows, and he's watching. Now, we can't fathom it because we can only be concerned with ourselves. I don't know what somebody else is thinking or doing. I can inspect maybe one person, see what he's doing, but yet God has all power, and every single one of us, he knows everything. Jesus says he knows, has the hairs of our head counted. He's knowing the things in the earth, all which he made. So now Job knows that God made all things, and he's acknowledging this. Even the weight of the winds and how strong they are, basically, and the measures of water, of the oceans and rivers and lakes and streams and so forth. He has it all measured. When he made them, thus seeing, he counted them and made a way for the vibration of sound. Well, I see that's what I was talking about in the last video. The sound goes through air. I don't think if you're in a vacuum, sound would work because there's nothing to carry it. But I'm not a scientist. I don't know for sure. But the vibration of sound, he made a way. We communicate through sound and other ways, of course, through the written word. Then he beheld her, wisdom. He described her, preparing. He tracked her out, did all these things. And he said to man, behold, godliness is wisdom. So that is wisdom, godliness. And being at a distance from evils is higher knowledge. So that is the rewards of wisdom, walking in a wise way. The wisdom of God is godliness because you're doing the things of God. Now, the wisdom of man being able to build rockets, it's not exactly what he's talking about, but relates it to godliness, that kind of wisdom. And evil, being away from evils, is higher knowledge. That's interesting because a lot of people would think higher knowledge comes if you learn things in school or university and you have a higher knowledge of mathematics or music, things like that. But here he's saying the higher knowledge is being at a distance from evil. So you can have a college degree and have higher knowledge in the worldly sense, but not being at a distance of evils. You could be completely an evil person and yet have this higher knowledge of things of the earth. But here, this whole chapter is showing that there's a difference between the material and the um, things of God, wisdom and higher knowledge. Chapter 29, he continues, it says, but still Job proceeding spoke in the retort. And he's talking about a righteous state. We'll find out what Job has to tell us about this righteous state, which I know we want to be in. So we'll find that out in the next video seminar. I hope you join us. Till then, God bless.